to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ruben Ronde and welcome to a new A State of Trance podcast. Within the studio today, Mr. Steven Maan, aka Estiva.
Yes, happy to be here.
How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Very good.
That's nice to hear. It's been quite a long time since you've been here. Almost 2 years. I looked it up.
That is long. Yeah.
So last time when you were here, April 2022, we already recorded everything that we normally do in a podcast. So today we're going to keep it a little bit different because luckily we received a lot of questions from the listeners.
Cool.
And I actually have some questions myself as well. So let's dive into it straight away. So we already know all the history and everything. If you don't know the history of Estiva, check out the podcast that we recorded in April 2022, where you told everything about Stella in 2007, which was the first play that you got on A State of Trance.
Yeah.
For example. But that's all the past. Now let's look into the future. Let's look at 2024. So far you released Undercover Romance and Around You. What can you tell about that EP so far?
It was, when was it released? Do you know that?
I think it was like in January, somewhere in the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah, so I originally wrote that for Colorscapes, which is a mix CD for Colorize. Both of those tracks are on there, and we decided to release them as an EP as well. I was playing them out so many times, and we thought, let's bundle them together and release them finally.
Did you create those tunes especially for Colorscapes? Or is it, okay, so you sat down in the studio, were like, okay, I need to create something for this compilation, for this album.
Yeah, well, while I was mixing, sometimes there are gaps. You feel like, okay, something is missing in the mix. And I felt these tracks could fit. I actually just wrote them for the mix and placed them right in the middle of them.
So you sat down, you saw gaps in the mix, and you were like, okay, I need to fill those up with some tunes.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like there's something missing, and then I just fill them up with new tracks. I do that with live sets as well. Sometimes I realize, okay, I wish I had a track like this, and then when I get back into the studio, I just write that track.
That's a different way of approaching stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I do.
That's funny. So you're missing pieces in your set, and then you use that as an inspiration to start making music.
Yeah, the other way around, you could also use other people's tracks, but I mean, I write music, so I brought it to fill it in myself.
What is the last track that you used to fill in something? Or tell us a little bit of an example that you did.
Well, Fine Day, that the new release coming up, was kind of like that because I felt like I needed a vocal track and a big one, preferably like a classic that everyone knew. So I decided to just take that vocal and revamp that track to fit it into my set. And now it's getting a release, so that's pretty cool.
That's coming in April.
Yeah. 12th, April 12th on Colorize. I don't know. I just sometimes do that, and I think it helps my sets getting to the next level, while also just always playing my own tracks, which I'd love to do.
That's what you normally do as well? Play 100% your own tracks in your sets?
Yeah, maybe if I play 3 hours, the occasional track by someone else gets thrown in, but 2 hours I always play my own
Is that because you don't like music from other people, or is it just like
I hate music from other people?
No, you can take a stand like that. You're like, okay, I'm here performing and I create a lot of music, so I might as well fill it in with my own music.
Yeah, I think if people decide to buy tickets for my shows, I want to give them the Estiva treatment. But if I feel like something is missing in my set, I have to fill it up with someone else's music, or just write that new track myself. And by doing that continuously, I'm able to play longer sets of just my own music.
So basically how you approach your DJ sets is you just play your sets, and then you realize while you're playing a set, I need one of these tracks.
Yeah.
Then you go back to the studio, you create it, and you place it in your set.
Yeah, but that's not the only inspiration for writing. Of course, I always write music anyways, but this is just a specific way to get something going in the studio. It's a need, And but I write many tracks without thinking about where they would fit in my set.
Yeah,
I just write whatever comes up in my mind. But yeah, that's definitely one of the tricks I have.
I'm always so curious with you because you write music in such a tempo that you're so fast in everything that you do. But when you listen to the tracks, for example, Undercover Romance, there's so much details and things going on. I'm like, this must have taken him, I don't know, months to create, but it's not like that. Because after the drop, there's suddenly like super sauce coming in and weird sounds left and right.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of I work in FL Studio, and I've started working in FL Studio when it was still called Fruity Loops, and that I remember installing Fruity Loops 4 or 3 even, and that is, I don't know, I was probably 17 or something. I'm now 36, so since then, almost every day I've been working in FL Studio.
Yeah,
and I think you're trained so well. You know how everything works, where you can find everything. So whatever comes up in your mind, you can really easily translate through your fingers into the computer.
So you're able to everything that you come up with in your head, you're able to put that in the computer.
I mean,
basically,
yeah, you're always evolving, and new sounds happen, new ideas pop up. But I'm usually able to translate stuff in my mind pretty easily into FL Studio. Yeah,
yeah, because like I said, Undercover Romance, it has so much things going on after the. I wish I could show you a little bit, but when do you decide that a tune like that is done? That you're like, okay, I don't need to add more because there's so much sounds in that track.
Yeah,
if you see the project, it's probably massive.
Yeah, and it differs. Some projects of mine, they only have 12. How do you call them?
Groups, tracks.
Yeah, 12 tracks, and other ones have over 60. But yeah, it's not always about how many tracks you have. It's about making those sounds count.
But how do you know when it is done?
That's a good question. It's a gut feeling, I guess.
Because, for example, Nostalgia is one of those tunes that you made, I think, just before Corona or just in Corona. And the version that I've been playing in all these sets is a different one in the end that you released.
Yeah, so the version you had, the earlier version, is missing some of the sounds that I added in later. And those sounds came from my Prophet Rev 2. And I opened up the track and it just started playing random stuff over that track, and then bounced the audio that came out of the Rev 2, reversed it, did a lot of effects on it, and then just found some pieces that I could add into that track.
So you decided in the end that Nostalgia wasn't done yet, and then you took out that synth and were like, okay, let's see.
Maybe it's just when you play it or when you listen to it, sometimes you hear stuff it's basically when you're producing, right? You
hear in your head, you hear like, okay, I could maybe write this little top melody on top.
And you could probably still hear those kind of things when a track is finished. I guess if we know you're such a trained producer, so you at some point this is enough. And you can keep adding stuff, and sometimes that's fine too, but sometimes you overdo it, and then the magic is gone because it's too full or it's not balanced anymore. I've learned less is more is a good approach.
Yeah,
but sometimes a track needs little quirks and little fills and little things to spice it up, ear candy, and other tracks don't need that.
Yeah. Do you test everything before you release it?
No, I test a lot. Definitely when I have a track not even finished, I always start to test them. I usually have the urge to finish tracks right before the weekend, because when you play out, you feel like, I want to try and test this out.
It's nice pressure as well.
Yeah, and sometimes you keep on playing those early versions, and then you kind of forget about them, and then pick it up later, and then add more stuff.
Yeah,
and then stuff like that happens where I send you tracks that are not finished.
Yeah,
and I start building them a little bit more, and then you still play the older version.
Yes. Yeah, there's one of those that's never going to be released, or I don't know what's going to happen to it. Keep falling in love with you.
Oh,
I played that in the warm up set last year at A State of Trance, and if you see my set online, there's a lot of people commenting like, "What is this? When is it coming out?"
Yeah, I saw you playing that, and it's funny because that track is older, and I just forgot about that track. But it's kind of special because I sang to that track. It's my vocals.
What do I?
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that here.
Some reverb there.
But well, the good news, we're definitely gonna release that.
Okay, cool.
It's most likely gonna be in my album, which is probably gonna be released in early 2025.
Okay.
But yeah, it's you made me realize it's a fun track.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that you say that about that your vocals are in the track. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. We were in Montreal together, and I was watching your set, listening to your set, and I heard the track also. I think with your vocals, but transformed into a female.
Yes. Yeah.
That's you as well, right?
Yeah. Lots of AI tools happening there. I just it's like a spoken word vocal. I think that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a lot of text. I just recorded my voice and then threw that into like an AI machine that.
It's funny because I know your voice, so I recognize it straight away.
Yeah.
So that brings us to a next spot because AI is really taking over the music scene and it's going very rapidly right now. Are you afraid as an artist to see what's happening with AI at the moment, or are you not really concerned about it?
I'm not concerned about it in a way that what happens will happen and it's out of my hands. If people don't need me anymore because my kind of music is created by computers, then I'll just have to deal with that. So in a way, I'm not concerned. Right now, I'm just using all the tools that we see popping up. But it is really interesting to see where it's going. And I do think we need some kind of regulation to help define what is man-made and what is not real anymore.
Yeah.
It's difficult, man. I need to dive into this. I need to hear what other people think before having a really good opinion on this, and probably going to change every few months because
it's going so
technology
fast.
is so fast.
Yeah. So if you look at the technology that you use in the studio right now, can you give some examples?
Well, vocals. I can just sometimes you need a hook. I can just sing it, and I'm not a singer. I can hold notes right. So I just use my voice, and then the computer will make it sound good.
Yeah.
And then if I don't want to hear a male voice, I just translate it into a female voice.
Yeah. So we're already putting vocalists out of jobs.
Basically. Well, yeah, basically, yeah. So I'm also doing my part in that, yeah.
But it's crazy. The technology is going so fast because I saw some examples already of stuff that they are developing right now that you can just prompt. Basically, I want to have an Estiva track like Nostalgia in A minor, 124 BPM, with the vocals of Sia, Pats. And then let's say a few minutes later, you have everything in different separate stems, in MIDI files, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that is I can't really comprehend that, if that will actually happen. Would be kind of cool to play around with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with that.
No, I guess we have to real soon anyway.
Yeah. If it means I'm losing my job or my passion, then so be it. I will deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we have to deal with it eventually anyway.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we just have to embrace the technology that is being created for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So you already mentioned it. There's an album coming up. So in 2018, you released Spectacle. A year later, Metamorphosis. And then Infinita came last year.
Actually, just remind me something about the previous subject. If people, my fans, my true fans, they will know me, and I'll be honest to them if I'm giving them music, and they will want that over something that's generated by a computer. So I think there's still a strong connection between the artist and the fans.
No, I 100% agree. It's the same like people that have real paintings that they paint.
Yeah.
And an AI creating like an
open, and there are a lot of really good artists that can copy a Van Gogh like exactly. And
but it's not the same.
It's not the same. So
you have to depend on the fans believing in it, and it's that they want to support you, that it's real, and
and I think there's still a difference between a real man-made tune and computer made.
Yeah. Do you think live performances will be more important in the future as well?
I think it's already important. You see a lot of artists incorporating machines and synthesizers into their performance. It's cool to look at. I've been looking at going into that direction as well. The thing is, I don't play the piano, so I don't play keys. But there's so many tools that you can use to make you look like you play keys. I can program a synthesizer to not play the wrong notes, so I can touch any note and everything sounds good. So in a way, I could perform like that, or I could perform more with percussion instruments that aren't
launch pads, like Fred again, basically.
Yeah,
just buttons all the time.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's also cool to perform with, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's something that will go hand in hand together with my new album.
Mm-hmm.
It's something to explore. I do love the simple, straightforward DJing with multiple decks, and I like seeing that as well as a fan on the dance floor. I think there's room for both, and there'll always be.
Yeah, that's true. So the album's coming next year, the follow-up to Infinita. How far are you in already? How much did you create so far?
Well, I mean, I have enough music to launch an album right now. So that's not the problem. It's more the
picking the right ones. Picking the right ones.
Picking the right ones, making it. You gotta make sense to what you are spreading to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So I can compile a full album and throw it out right now, but there's no cohesion in there.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm picking out tunes that I feel like are really good. And then that's basically my starting point to write more music. And with those starting tunes in my mind, so everything will be much more.
So you start filling it up again. You have the pillars and then the filling it up. I need this track on my album, so I'm gonna put that.
Yeah, filling the gaps.
Filling the gaps. Well, then why not? So that's something to look forward to. That's coming next year. In the meantime, you also have Kudus and Cosmos Sky.
Yeah.
Everything is going hand in hand. Kudus is more the trancey kind of stuff. Cosmos Sky, the more techno kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Estiva is in between.
Maybe not techno, but definitely more darker stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Estiva, like via Infinita, is it's a pretty light melody, and I don't think you would find that in Cosmos Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And Kudus is very trancey with all kinds of moods.
Mm-hmm. And you're releasing some of that stuff on your label, Potentially Dreaming.
Cosmos Sky is releasing on Potentially Dreaming. Kudus isn't.
No.
And to be honest, Kudus I do release now and then, but at the minute it's not really my focus. Obviously, I'm working on the album, so Estiva is the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmos Sky is a little bit closer to Estiva.
Because you play it in your sets as well?
Yeah.
Filler tunes?
Filler tunes, yeah. But, I mean, we also have Ebenezer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually something that's popping up in some of the questions. We'll get to that, I guess, in just a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into the questions. Because we have so many of them. I want to make sure to address every single one of them. Let's start with Surrender Robot. Is there an activity that you find gives you creative inspiration for your music? For example, biking.
Yeah, definitely. Going out in nature in general is really helpful for me. We're living in March right now, and when I look outside, sometimes you get those sunny days when you look around.
Sometimes.
Yeah, very sometimes. Yeah,
doesn't happen too much.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too much, but it will happen a little bit more when spring is coming here in the Netherlands. You see the greens popping up, and that just gives me a massive inspiration rush. I feel so much better in the spring, in the summer. I feel down and depressed in winter. So I mean, some cool things can come out of those places as well. But I feel just more energy when things get light again.
Yeah.
And activities like biking and running are really good as well. I think you need to, for inspiration, you need to, for instance, when you're stuck in a room for 3 weeks, you're not challenging your brain.
No, you need input for output.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely I advise anyone who's producing is kind of stuck, just forget about it and go do other fun stuff. Go hang out with friends. Go do stupid stuff you've never done before. Or just walk around and be in nature and listen to other music. That helps me.
I think that's one of the things that you learn the longer you produce and the more that you connect with other producers, that it's okay to not produce a single day. I hear it a lot from producers and singer-songwriters that they're like, okay, I'm not writing today, so I feel like I'm cheating on myself.
Yeah, this is, I've been struggling with this as well. When you do music 24/7, I felt like when I didn't have inspiration, I was just sitting in my studio doing nothing. And then at some point deciding, okay, I need to get out. I need to see friends. At the end of the day, I felt like, okay, I didn't work today. Nothing came out of my hands. So it felt bad.
You felt guilty.
You felt guilty, yeah. And so right now that changed into, okay, I don't have inspiration. I'm going to do other fun stuff. I'm going to enjoy that moment of not having the inspiration. And I'm really confident that it will come back, especially when I just relax and do other stuff other than staring at my screen, trying to make beats.
Yeah. I think a lot of young producers are burning themselves out.
Yeah.
By forcing themselves just to keep on going and going. And I think if you're forcing yourself to create something, it's not going to turn out as good as it is anyway. No,
you can't force creativity, but there's always a learning curve. I mean, we've gone through that as well. So why
writing blocks and stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's a valuable lesson as well. So it's fine to struggle with that, as long as you at the end realize that it's okay to not be inspired.
Yeah. And it's okay to skip a day in the studio.
Yes.
Because most of the times when you skip a day in the studio, the day after or 2 days after, you're going to go in and you're going to smash it out, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, sometimes 2 weeks. Sometimes I just do other stuff and not focus on music for a longer period of time. And then all of a sudden you have a week full of massive inspiration and everything flows, everything sounds good. Yeah. And then I have 3 new tracks in a week. Then, I mean, that's
sometimes
a good score.
It just hits you, And then you need to grab it.
Yeah.
The inspiration.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When it does come, then
make those long days in the studio.
Yeah,
definitely. Tone Rolls, there he is. When can we expect the first Ebenezer singles? Can we expect an Ebenezer album as well? That's a little explanation for you guys. We got approached by Insomniac for Dream State to create a new act, Steven and myself, and we did. We created new music.
Yeah.
It's called Ebenezer, named after the football player Robbie. His middle name,
Brian Robbie. Yeah,
Ajax player. We're both fans of Ajax. So the first singles, that's a good question.
Yeah, we made a lot of music. Right now, are we at 10 tracks?
I think so. Yeah,
and there's some really, really good tracks in there as well.
Yeah,
and
testing it out already.
Yeah, well, especially you. And recently, I heard one of the tracks that I hadn't played before, but Ruben did, and he kept telling me like,
"You have to play it. You have to play."
And I was like, "Oh, I mean, it's so banging that I couldn't find the right set to play it in." But then I saw Ruben playing it, and I was there. I sat right next to the booth monitor, and the bass is just
it's so hard,
smashing.
If you're curious which tune it is, there's a little tip for you. If you go to my State of Trance set in Rotterdam, I do a sit down.
And that's
the tune.
Moment.
That's the tune that I'm talking about. But the first singles, I think one of the first is going to be with Xera. That's going to be with Enhanced Music.
Yeah,
just don't know yet when, because we have to find a spot in our release schedules that fits everything. But I can assure you that there's a lot of very good music.
Yeah, we're working on it, and for me it's so cool to just working a little bit more with you, because we used to travel and play so many shows, and then that kind of slowed down a bit, and now I'm seeing this guy a little bit more often, which I like.
I love that. We love to do some more shows as Ebenezer as well. So, all right, next one. Stella The Mermaid wants to know, why weren't you at the State of Trance the last 2 years?
Well, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
Well, she means like,
I guess Rotterdam.
Rotterdam, yeah. It was this year. Well, this year I couldn't be there because I had a big tour in the US and Canada. And I saw everyone playing A State of Trance while I was, I think, in New York and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes...
Because you were supposed to play there. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Next time.
Yeah, next time, yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes dates just clash and you can't make it. Yeah.
And sometimes, especially like a tour is already planned far in advance.
Yeah.
Alison wants to know, what can you tell us about the new project with Ruben? Well, we just did. What is the biggest production tip? Pierce Yol wants to know. Pierce Yol, yeah. Biggest production tip. What is the key thing for you in the studio?
I think we've covered something on that already in terms of inspiration and not forcing it.
Yeah.
What works for me all the time is, and it sounds cliche, but just try to have fun and try to avoid that pressure and don't think about what people want to hear, but think about what's going on in your mind and what's popping up in your mind, and try to translate that into music, even if it doesn't, if it's not conforming like the genre you want to make or whatever. Just make those sounds that are going around in your head and try to translate it into actual music. And it may be weird music, but you've done it.
I think that's great. And also the tip that you gave, or it's not a tip, but it's an approach that you have, that you fill in the gaps that you have in your head. Okay, this part of my set could use this track. Then you have a mission when you go into the studio. Yeah,
that works. Yeah. If you feel like, okay, my sets are very much high energy and there's so many big tracks, then maybe you need to work on a little slower, groovier track
just to reset the dance floor again. Yeah. Okay, Wousmeister wants to know, when are you going to get a nose piercing?
Right after this.
Okay, that's interesting. Sandra wants to know, is the album going to be released on vinyl?
Yes. Oh, definitely. It was such a good decision to release Infinita on vinyl.
Yeah.
But we started doing that when the album was already out. We're gonna do it different now. We're gonna make sure people can pre-order the vinyl before the actual album is out. So we have a lot of better sense of how many we need to press, and we're gonna make sure it's not sold out like Infinita is right now.
I think that's also the approach that you need to have as an artist, is that on one side you have the AI creating all kinds of shit, and on the other side you have your real fan base that actually want to hold a piece of your music in their hands.
Yeah.
And you see the vinyl is doing massively right now, but CDs are coming back also.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that people really want to have like a piece of music in their hands.
And us artists as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to write music and then see it pop up on Spotify or as an MP3, but you can't hold an MP3.
No. And also income-wise.
Yeah.
Because, for example, for, I don't know, 1 million streams, you get what? €1,000? Not even. Probably less. And then the label cut goes off.
Yeah.
So you need millions and millions of streams to even put bread on the table.
Yeah. And by pressing vinyls, also you get extra income because of the rights that are involved.
Oh, yeah. Prima.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I see a lot of questions about Ebenezer. We kind of... it's funny that it's already so alive. Let's take this one. Trance Family TFSO. If you could do a trance set in any location, where would it be, at any building or place in the world? Where would it be? Or let's say just a DJ set.
San Francisco, right? This was asked by Trance Family SF.
Golden Gate.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I love those weird location where where you usually don't expect dance music.
You did a album release party for Infinita in a crane.
Yeah, that crane is so where I live. It used to be an old ship wharf where they made massive ships. So they have big buildings and also cranes that are still there doing nothing. Well, this crane is a hotel, but it's just a massive landmark where I live, and there's a little event space in there as well. So we decided to do the release party.
It was
there.
so fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
So warm.
Very hot. Yeah, it's a warm day as well.
But it was different. I remember when you played via Infinita, people were just losing their shit when you did that.
Yeah,
and it was just it was not even out that long, I think.
No, I think that's probably the same month or so.
Yeah,
it's great that especially with via Infinita. Still now, when I play it, people notice it when I mix it in. It's just fun to see.
Yeah, you see the reaction instantly that they know the track.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
They start cheering and all that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the funny thing is when we were supposed to do the Ebenezer set together at Dream State, and one of the tunes that we put it in that set was also via Infinita because it's such a massive tune.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be in sets for many months to go.
Yeah, I can still see it played by other people.
If you see 1001 track lists, how many people are supporting it? Just the list just goes on and on.
Yeah, it's great to see. It's.
Did you expect that when you created it?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. No,
for example, you were sworn to smashing it in the sets, and
I felt like it was a filler track, maybe like a B-side, more of that, because it's I don't know, it's very melodic, but it's also it's about the context where you play it in, but it could be quite a mellow track.
Yeah,
but it's somehow
it still goes off.
Yeah,
even though it's not that up tempo.
No, exactly. It's 124 BPM. It's pretty slow. The Marsh remix is
more upbeat.
Yeah, it's a bit more upbeat, and that I love that breakdown with that vocal he added. It's really cool.
Vicious Code wants to know: will there be a follow-up to Rush Hour?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean,
you just don't know yet.
No, and I don't like intentionally writing follow-ups to tracks because that kind of means it needs to sound like the previous track.
There's an Ebenezer track that sounds a bit like one of our collabs, though.
Oh yeah, does it?
Yeah, Rainbow. There's a Rainbow too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. So yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe, but
not intentionally.
Yeah,
no, it will come when it comes.
Yeah. But that's a cool track. I barely play that nowadays, but it's I love like the dark vibe in that track, and it's maybe I should pick it up in my DJ sets again.
Elena69 Luca wants to know: can you share a project that you're very proud of and why?
I mean, the last album, and especially via Infinita, because it brought different genres together, or artists from different genres. I saw people like Solomon and Joris Voor and Elke Klein playing that tune, rather than just one specific genre. It was multiple artists from different backgrounds, which was it's just cool to have that kind of support,
especially when you don't expect it. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm never really proud in that sense of my music. I'm just, maybe I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to make a living off music, and that that I found a passion, and that I'm happy with what I'm doing.
The last one, Celia CC van 13 wants to know: what is your favorite moment during the creation of a track? It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah,
because there's definitely a moment when things are starting to come together, when you kind of have that melody ready and the groove ready, and then you start to build things. There's always a little moment of excitement where you feel like, okay, yeah, this is going the right way. And sometimes that comes really fast, and sometimes in the end. And sometimes, for instance, with Via Infinita, it comes after it gets released, because only then you realize, okay, people really like this. And then you see the track in a different context.
Yeah.
But usually during writing, there's a moment when you put pieces together, and then you feel like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I'm enjoying.
And sometimes
this.
you have a track that you're working on that you wake up in the morning and you're like, I want to get going on the track again.
Yeah.
You're excited.
So, yeah, you wake up in the morning, or just you make it a very late night.
Yeah, exactly. The one last thing I want to share with people as well, because since we're talking about Ebenezer, one of the things that I'll never forget is that you were home in the studio. I was on my way to America, and I took one of your fillers. That's what you always make as well, fillers.
Yeah.
And then wrote a melody. And that's actually the tune that we were talking about earlier. I'll never forget that moment that I wrote that melody. I sent it to you, and you were like, holy shit, this is good. And then you sent it back again, literally the day of the event.
Yeah.
And then playing it for the first time, that was a special moment.
Yeah, those filler tracks I write sometimes, so there's nothing going on melody-wise. It's just a percussive track that I fit in between tracks that clash together key-wise.
Yeah.
So I just have an extra beat in between, so the two tracks don't clash.
Switch. Yeah.
So I sent that to you, and you came up with the melodics, and I just placed them together.
It.
Yeah, and I was like, how's this sounding? Like,
holy shit! I was sitting in a hotel room. That was in Vancouver. That was it. I was like, holy shit! And that was one of those moments. I'm like, okay, this is what it's like if you work as a sort of producer duo. That must be so exciting to send stuff up and down that you just can't wait to share on the dance floor as well. And you feed each other energy.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, and you started playing that out way before me. So I get to hear Ruben saying, hey, this is amazing, this goes off. And I'm like, are you sure? Yeah, I don't know.
You tell me. All right, thank you so much for answering all these questions. I'm looking forward to all the music that is coming out as Estiva, Kudus, Komoskai, Ebenezer, Cosmoskai, sorry. There's just so much happening anyway. So thank you for answering all these questions.
Thanks everyone for the questions.
And I'm looking forward to welcome you here next year for the release of your album. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much. And I'll see you later for a new podcast. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal.